When LG reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to play around with the new unreleased LG G4, I have to admit, I actually hesitated just a little. Not that I don't want to check it out or anything, it's just that I've been such an iPhone fanboy for so long, I felt like I didn't know enough about the Android operating system to really take full advantage of it. But then I learned about the 4K camera. If you've been following me for a while, then you know that I've recently upgraded my main camera to a Sony 4K AX100. Before that upgrade, however, I relied solely on my iPhone 6 Plus for video. It was good enough to get me started, and since I already owned it, I didn't have to go out and buy a real camera right away. The problem was the iPhone camera still lacked in quality and desperately needed to be replaced. This brings me to the LG G4 and its 4K video capability. I couldn't help but to wonder if the camera quality this good could have helped me out just a little bit longer than the iPhone 6 did. But before I dive into the quality and comparisons, let's go ahead and check out the specs and get those out of the way. The G4 has a 5.5-inch IPS quantum display with a resolution of 2560 by 1440. This new display will give you better contrast, color reproduction, and brightness. It's almost a shock when you first see it too if you're used to a lower resolution phone. Moving to the OS, it runs Android 5.1 Lollipop with the Snapdragon 808 chipset and 6-core processor. It has 3 GB of RAM and 32 GB of internal storage. You should take note here that only about 21 GB of that is actually available to you because of the preloaded apps and operating system. Not to worry though, because LG lets you slide in a micro SD card for up to 2 TB of additional storage. Although at the time of this video, I think the largest you could get is 128 gigs. The best part about having a 6-core processor is that you really don't notice it. Everything loads fast enough that you never have time to think about wanting it to be faster. Oh, and as someone who's new to Android, I thought the whole universal remote control option was pretty cool too. In the front, you get an 8-megapixel selfie camera. Now this is kind of cool because if you snap a picture and bring it down, it will automatically show you the picture for review, allowing you to quickly save it or delete it. As for the rear camera, well, that's where the fun starts. With the 1.8 f-stop lens, manual control, laser-guided autofocus, and 16-megapixel resolution, you can really put out some high-quality images. Most notably with the shutter control giving you up to 30 seconds of exposure. It gives you those really cool night shots. But hey, pictures are great and all, but let's be honest, I'm more of a video kind of guy. So for testing purposes, I had to compare the new G4 video to my iPhone 6 Plus. To play fair, I did use a special app on the iPhone to give me manual controls and higher resolution. Although whether or not the higher resolution actually means better quality is yet to be debated. So taking a look at this split screen, try to guess which one is the iPhone and which one is the G4. Do you give up, or is it obvious? Well, the video on the left is the G4, and as you can tell, it's much sharper and it has greater detail. This is to be expected though from a native 4K camera, so no surprises here. I figured while I was outside, I would grab a couple more shots just to kind of show you what it could do. To be honest, I really wanted to go to a local garden and get some wide variety of plants, but the weather here has been raining for a few weeks and there's really no sign of it letting up anytime soon. But hey, that didn't stop me from getting some shots of the camera from outside my window. The color here is amazing. The green, the red, I mean, it really surprised me. In fact, if I wanted to be more accurate, I would actually have to desaturate it just a little. In this shot, I wanted to see how it would handle change in brightness with everything still being set on automatic. So after playing with a few shots, I thought, just how close is this camera to my Sony AX100? I mean, that's $2,000 worth of hardware designed specifically for high quality 4K resolution. Could I have just waited to get the G4 and used that as my main camera and save me some money? Well, I have to say no. The G4 limits you to 5 minutes of recording each time, so that's not going to work for me. But as for the quality, let's take a look at this footage here when I put each camera side by side. Everything is still set on automatic, including focus. To test that focus out, I decided to move the objects around just a little. Let me slide these back and forth. Here is camera A, and here is camera B. Camera A, camera B. Can you tell which one is the G4 and which is the Sony? Yeah, it was hard for me too. Well, camera A is the G4 and B is the Sony. So aside from having the 5-minute limitation, the G4 video is almost as good as my prosumer camcorder, at least in the few test shots that I ran. Not saying my Sony doesn't have other benefits like optical zooming, for example, but I can say that if I would have had the G4 in the beginning, I'm not so sure that I would have purchased the Sony as soon as I did. I say this because I'm also not sure if having a micro SD card installed in the G4 would have removed that 5-minute limitation. So in conclusion, the LG G4 is a beautiful phone. The stock backplate offers a great diamond pattern look and curves just enough to feel comfortable in your hand, not to mention the optional leather backings that you can purchase separately. The front screen also curves just a little, but unless you're looking for it, you probably won't notice. The manual camera controls give you amazing options to produce high quality pictures and even does well in automatic mode. Also, it gives you the option for JPG RAW. The 4K camera is somewhat limited by duration, but it offers the highest quality video I've seen in a mobile phone to date. It puts my iPhone 6 Plus to complete shame. Speaking of shame, now that I've experienced the quantum display on the G4, going back to my iPhone makes me feel just a little sad. It also doesn't help that my iPhone has the same screen size, but it's a much larger phone. I mean, talk about being antiquated. So, is the LG G4 the right phone for you? Let me know in the comments. Personally, I can say that I was blown away by this phone, and I could easily see this as my daily driver. Even as an iPhone fanboy, I think this might actually be worth a move. I would be interested to know though if adding a micro SD card would unlock the video link. Sorry about my voice today, it seems as if I'm getting sick. But as always, if you did like this video, show some love, click the like button below. And if you want to hear more, don't forget to subscribe.